Morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the 42 Business Growth Principles. And this is a weekly podcast where I've, in my 28-year career, I've picked up and noticed and accumulated principles that, that are irrefutable, immutable laws, as I mentioned at the beginning of each one of my podcasts. And in these 42 business growth principles, I think you can ignore them at your peril. These are sort of life lessons, if you like, that need to be applied. So, if you keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result, cliche, but it's just crazy lunacy, if you like. And one of the analogies that I always start with really is that every time you fall off a building, gravity is irrefutable. It's immutable law. You are going to fall to the ground. You're not jumping off a building and then one day you're going to fly sideways and the next day you're going to fly up. I mean, we're not in space, we're in Earth, and Earth has a gravity, and exists. And I think even as you get older, I think things start to sag, and gravity has an impact even if it's slow. But there's other things like friction and so on, and I mentioned that in the beginning of other podcasts. So where are we right now? So 42 business growth principles. Every week I take a new principle or the next principle, and then discuss it from my point of view, as in where and how I see it being applied in today's world. Now, these principles have existed for thousands of years and for millions of years. I mean, this is no different. The only difference really is the application of them. And in this world that we live in, one of a lot of digital communication, a lot more people, if you like, a lot bigger crowded space, a lot more competitors, or alternatives for clients and so on. So 42 business growth principles are critical, I think, if you want to apply, if you really want to apply some kind of sanity to your business. So every week I cover one of the 42 business principles. This week, we're week number 5, we're episode number 5. The first 4 principles, I'm quickly going to run through them. The first principle is marketing your business is the ultimate leverage. And I cover that quite in detail, and it's not what you think. So it really, I would go back to episode 1 if you want to kickstart the process and do a bit of a Netflix binge watch if you want on the first few episodes. The second one is multiple channels of distribution. This second business growth principle is one of having multiple avenues or methods to market. And again, it's not exactly what you think. And I cover where we are right now after the pandemic, Ukraine war. We're in 6 months in, the world's gone crazy, and it keeps on going crazy. It's not like it's any crazier than it was when I started, in the early 90s with my career. In fact, I don't think the world's ever changed. I think it's always just been crazy. I think we're just becoming more aware of it. But multiple channels of distribution is a way of how do you get your message out there? What's the best way to do it? And understanding how to select that properly. The third one is about positioning. How do you position yourself in the minds of your customers? And again, that one was brilliant, because I touch on what I think is one of the best sort of books around behavioral psychology written. It's by Professor Kahneman, called Thinking Fast and Slow, and it's really a magnificent book, difficult read, but a wealth of information. If you really understand those principles, you're going to understand positioning properly. And I do cover some of the key things there. The number 4 is your unique selling proposition. And I also talk about the difference between a unique selling proposition and a unique perceived benefit. And when you look at where we look, when we go out to market, is where do they fit? Because in earlier times, perceived benefit and unique selling proposition were roughly the same thing, because most sales and marketing had much more of an interruption based approach. In other words, you're busy watching, and I see even on YouTube it's a bit annoying these days, but you're watching a TV station or a channel. Most people don't even watch TV anymore, but you're watching something and up pops an advert and interrupts your day. And if the phone rings and there's a telesalesperson on the other side, it's interruption marketing. And when you're looking at a perceived benefit as opposed to a selling proposition, they sit in different places in the journey you need to take your customer. You really need to thoroughly think through the customer journey. So the 42 growth principles builds week in and week out. It builds step by step each week on principles that if you apply that one principle for that week, and the next week you take the next principle and apply it again, and the next week you apply it again, 42 principles is 42 weeks. I can guarantee you, if only 2 or 3 of them stick, you're going to see a significant difference in your business, in your life, in the way that you operate, and even just in your thinking and the way you approach things. You're going to see that within a space of a year, and just applying some of these things will make a significant difference. So marketing your business being the ultimate leverage, multiple channels of distribution, positioning, USP, and unique perceived benefit too. Today, we're covering inform and educate. Now, inform and educate is probably also not what you think it is. And when we talk to entities, companies, people within the sales and marketing environment, the 42 business growth principles, one of them being inform and educate, covers the entire customer journey. So inform and educate is about communication. But when and how do you communicate at what stages of the customer journey is the critical part of this whole thing, to dissect the different component parts. So when you're looking at your business and you're starting to say, okay, how do I improve my business? If you are able, and you should be able, to map the entire customer journey. So the customer journey, or I think I heard the other day that it was something like 1895 was when the first, I think they used to, in the old days, instead of calling it a sales funnel, they used to call it a purchasing funnel. And I'll give you more detail, at some stage in the future. But I just want to go through it. And if any of you have ever heard of the AIDA concept of attention, interest, desire, action, AIDA. So that is an acronym that was created in 1895 based on what this individual, and I'll give you more information another time in a different podcast, but the point that I'm trying to make here is that the purchasing journey was identified in 1895, and the concept, or the AIDA concept, of get attention, build interest, create desire, and then have a call to action. That purchasing journey was formalized for the first time, and people have done enhancements to that. It's like any technology, but it's a discovery that was made. So in 1895, the discovery, the purchasing funnel, as we call it, a sales funnel these days, but the purchasing funnel, the AIDA, get attention, build interest, build your desire, and have a call to action. The AIDA acronym, critical to understanding the customer journey. But today we're dealing with business growth principle, or principle number 5, which is inform and educate. Now, when we're looking at the different stages of your customer journey, there are different methods and ways in which you need to inform and educate your potential customer, all the way through to existing customer, all the way through to a customer right at the end, so that they can become more advocates and they can help promote your business. But right from the start, and if there's an annoyance and an irritation that I think everybody is feeling it at this stage. And if you're not, you're probably not yet experiencing enough of it yet, but it will happen. And that is, I get these, and I'm sure you do, in different social media channels. You have this real fake approach that someone makes. You know, the the old telesales, if you recall, it was good day, Dudley, or good day, Mr. Peacock. This is Joe. How are you today? And I'm like, this is a sales call. You know, I don't even know who this person is. They're interrupting my day. I have no idea why they're calling me. And in fact, I'm busy with something, and don't interrupt me. The same thing happens when you're watching a program where you're trying to do some research or whatever. These interruption marketing things happen. So inform and educate is, how do you get in front of someone? The annoyance one right now is in a platform like LinkedIn, for instance. Somehow, some people have cottoned onto this idea of sending out messaging saying, hey, I've had a look at your profile. It looks like we've got something in common. And I'd like to have 15 minutes of your time to share my message with you. And then they do the PDF, or they put in a video, or they do something like that. And I'm like, did you really look at my profile? Because often when I look at who they are and where they come from, what they are offering is nowhere near what I would ever buy in the first place, or even want to waste 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour of my time talking to some random salesperson that is probably under-equipped, lack of experience. All they've been told to do is do the numbers game. Ever heard of that one? Numbers game. And I'm so tired of it, quite frankly. So I think if you get interruption marketing, and I think you understand what I mean when we start going through this inform and educate space of where things are right now. People are tired of interruption marketing. People are tired of being asked and being spoken to in this fake way. And I mean, the word woke is being thrown around a lot for various reasons, and I think it's woke. I think it's terrible. In fact, you know, the engagement process has become very, very, very annoying. But on the flip side, you can't blame people for trying to interrupt you. You can't blame them really for trying to start a conversation. It's the way in which they're doing it is the problem. And we are all, in terms of buyers of different products and services, and we buy stuff. I mean, make no doubt. I mean, if I just think about the different channels you can buy, Amazon, you can go down to the store, you could search on the internet for different things. What you'll do is you'll do something based on an intent, and on an outbound saying, look, I think I need this, or I think I need that. Or you'll be following a group where there will be a talk about something of interest, or you might have somebody that you follow that will be recommending certain things. And because there's trust and there's an understanding that this person is credible, you might look at a product or a service that they recommend to help you in your journey. And I think that's really where the crux of it is. Inform and educate, but inform and educate not what you sell, but inform and educate in a way that helps someone along their own journey. And I think this is where that whole story comes in where, if you think about, I think it was, this book was written in the 1950s or so, where they spoke about this guy, and again, I'll bring it up in a separate episode at some stage. But I just want to run through the concept of the hero's journey. If you think of the hero's journey, all I mean, we hardwired to understand a hero's journey. We all hardwired to understand what it takes to achieve an outcome that we're looking to achieve. We all understand that there are problems and challenges and obstacles that we have to overcome. And every hero in any story, in any movie, if you watch the story, if you read books, or if you, there is almost always the start of the story comes with a call to a away from where the hero is, to go to a place or do something that they feel ill-equipped to do. So if you take the Harry Potter stories, or if you take the Star Wars with Luke Skywalker and whatever it is, and most of the time there's a call away from where you are to go and achieve or go on a journey of something new, something unknown. And almost always, if you follow any story, any really good movie, and I don't want to go and promote any movies, but what I'm saying is that just next time you watch any good story, you'll see that it's not that, and I think it was some terrible actors like Steven Seagal and all these guys. I mean, they just beat everybody up, and right from the beginning to the end, they were just the hero, and they just sorted things out, and it was just terrible, and it just felt empty, as a movie. But if you have a true calling, and you go then through a process where there's troubles, and it seems insurmountable, and it seems getting worse, and then it gets even worse, and there's even more things going wrong, and there's other things flying in from different angles, and the hero often goes through multiple layers, almost sometimes, of challenges and problems and so on. And sometimes that goal, or that thing that they need to go and achieve, seems absolutely impossible. And somehow, somewhere, there is a guide, or a person, or a thing that happens, or a realization, or an aha moment, or whatever it is, at the bottom end of this, when it's absolutely the most gloomy time in that space, in the story, there is something that appears. So if you look at Luke Skywalker, you got the Yodas, and Harry Potter. I mean, you've got. I mean, I'm not going to go into the different stories, but somewhere there's a guide, there's a person, or there's a friend, there's somebody or something that provides the answer that they need, that they're looking for, and then they start to climb out of that difficulty, and they start to then look to achieve that outcome that they're working towards. And often what happens is, even if they achieve or don't achieve that final outcome, you will see that the true message, and again, it's all hardwired and in our DNA. We are built to connect to this hero's journey. How that's possible, I don't know, and I'm not a psychologist. I don't understand this stuff. All I can say is this is absolutely true. There are two journeys that everybody goes through. There's the outward journey. There's that, when you start out in your career, you say, I want a house, I want a car, I want this, I want that. Anything external. There's an external achievement that you want to make. You want to win a competition, win a race. You want to win a cut. I mean, it could be something like that, or it could be, marrying the right person, or it could be, any number of external or outward type of achievements that you'd like to achieve. However, there's a second journey, and that's a journey of transformation. And it's a personal transformation. It's that learning journey. It's that journey of that personal internal purpose, that accomplishment, that once you get past that and you've had the aha, you've had the guide that's helped you through the process, and you're getting to reaching that point of where you've reached your outcome. Many movies leave you feeling great, even if the hero of the journey may not have achieved their external um, uh, their external journey, if you like, their external outcome that they're wanting to achieve. They might not have won the race. They might not have survived. They may have died at the end. They might have, the outcome might have completely been externally different. But what we enjoy as human beings is that internal transformation of the hero, that realization that certain things they thought that mattered no longer are important. Certain things that they didn't realize were important, they now know are things that have transformed them. And you'll see that in any hero's journey, it's very, very difficult for the hero to go back to where they started. They never go back to where they started. In fact, they now have gone past the place they started in terms of understanding, skills, knowledge, experience. Often the blinkers have come off, or whatever terminology you want to use, but near the end, and at the end of the story, if you like, you have this transformation that's happened with that individual, and that individual is now a better person. They are more complete. They are more open, or whatever it is, and they are better off than when they started. So the hero's journey is one of a calling, going through multiple challenges, etc., finding their space, or their aha, or their guide, going through, fighting through it, and then having this transformation, that special sort of realization of what really matters. And whether they achieve the outward or the outside goal or not, when you watch a story or read a book like that, it's, there's a meaning to it, and you feel good about that transformation. You feel better about. I think there's that movie called Cars, where the little car at all costs was going to win the race, and near the end, the opponent, his the other little car he was racing against, near the end, they were head to head, and something happened to his the person he needed to beat. And instead of going through and winning the race, he stopped, turned around, and helped his opponent across the finish line, and they finished together. I don't remember the movie. You're welcome to comment on that, but that moment of, it's not about winning the race, it's about more than that. Is that I would say the essence of being human. So when we come to the fifth of the business growth principles, inform and educate. When we're doing inform and educate, what we are not doing is, we are not trying to be, and this is the space we should occupy, is the Yoda to Luke Skywalker. We are not at the beginning of the journey. If the guide or the special aha moment arrives too early, it makes no sense to the person. It makes no sense to the hero. They're going to say, huh, what? But when they need it most, at the darkest time, the right information, the right support, and the right kind of solution at the right time gives them the ability to go through that transformative stage. But it's not an outward necessarily. Yes, everybody aims towards achieving an outward outcome, but part of that journey is also an internal transformation. So when you're thinking about your target market, that inform and educate. When you're going out and again, I'm going to go to my pet peeve, which is LinkedIn and these, hey, I saw your profile. I think we share common interests. Click on my link and book a meeting with me and have a 15-minute meeting with me. I'm like, who are you and why are you at this point of my journey? Because you mean nothing to me. Have you done anything to understand where I am in my own hero's journey? And we need to understand that about our customers. We need to say, at what point do we become relevant in their lives? It is when they are asking why. So, uh, as an example, I'd owned and run a very large training entity in the back end of the 90s. We were training about 5,000 children and adults a week, every week through the different training centers. And we had guiding sort of principles, if you like, of training, of learning, if you like. One of the key ones there was about teaching at the educable moment. And I want to repeat that. Teach at the educable moment. Teach at the time that the person, whether it's a child or an adult, at the time they ask why, at the time that they are questioning the thing, that the challenge that they're up against. So part of that journey is often in a teaching or learning environment is to create the opportunity for someone to be challenged, to be drawn into a hero's journey, to go through a process of being challenged and not necessarily achieving what they want to achieve, and then providing the answer or a support for them to find their own answer in that transformation and for them to achieve the outcome. So by the time they finish the class, the course, the whatever it is that they were busy with, that they've not only achieved a certificate, a diploma or something like that, but they have achieved a personal transformation. And I think education in every sphere, you can go formal education in university. You could look at education within business, within careers, with even at home, with your children, with your spouse, with your partner, with your parents, with your siblings, your friends, and so on. Everybody is going through some sort of thing, some sort of transformative journey. And often when you get asked advice by your friend, that is an educable moment. That is the moment that they are open to receiving some kind of advice. If you're giving people advice and try to tell people what to do, long before they're even asking why, you are putting yourself in a position of being shunned and pushed back, and people will put up this barrier and say, it's not relevant, it's not the space that I need, it's not the information I need, because I do not have that problem or that issue. So when we're looking at principle number 5, inform and educate. Inform and educate is about creating the right kind of content for the audience that you're trying to attract, and creating the visibility and the opportunity for them to approach you at the right time when the educable moment has arrived, when that teachable moment has arrived, when that moment where you could provide your solution or the product or whatever the engagement is that you're trying to do. So it's more preferable to think about not what the next flashy thing is on LinkedIn or Twitter or these days it's TikTok or whatever it is. It's to throw things at people, and it's like yeah, and it just goes on, and it's just is frustrating as hell. What's interesting is that if you are educating and you're sharing and you're communicating and you're connecting at that transformation level, not at the outcome level. Not, I mean, you see these absolute idiots, and apologies for being quite judgmental, but these idiots standing next to, in these YouTube adverts, standing next to the Ferrari, or they're sitting in their aeroplane that they, I don't know, got a friend to get them onto some private jet to show that they now have reached some level of wealth, or they're throwing money around, or some stupid thing. That is an outward appeal that may appeal to some people, but really it's just ridiculous. People really, in this day and age, and we've been through so much, and we continue going through so much. And then even if you look at the last 100 years, 2 world wars, if you go all the way back to the 1800s, the technology advancements and so on. I mean, every year there's a problem. Every year there's issues. And this time we're living in is no different to 100 years, 500 years, 1,000 years. Everybody had problems. There were different problems, or they might have been at a different scale or different type, but everybody always had challenges. A few hundred years ago, people were living on the breadline, and family units were massively important, and having large families and working the land and all that kind of thing was massively important. And if someone got ill, there wasn't health care. People had shorter lifespans. We're living in probably the best times right now. But if you look at Inform and Educate, people still need that transformation journey. People still need the opportunity to be able to be exposed to a transformation that they are in the process of. But if they are at the beginning of their journey and you are throwing messaging at them that is irrelevant to that part of their hero's journey, you're just alienating your target audience. So what you need to be doing, and this is across social media channels, emails, whether it's networking, whether it is any kind of engagement, it is rather to build relationship, rather to be out there saying, how do I connect with people at the human level and just be there for them? And when they are ready and that educable moment has arrived, I am front of mind, top of mind. I am in this space where they see me or you or whoever the service provider is as the guide, the person or the entity or the product or service that will help them to their next stage. So this is the whole thing about offering things like lead magnets and downloads and all that. People are on a journey of search. And if you are doing manipulative tactics or trying to offer them things to suck them into a sales channel, a sales funnel, and doing upsells and cross sells and all that kind of thing, because they are literally in the dark moments, and you are just trying to sucker them into things that are not necessarily good for them, you should question your ethics and morals. But if you have got lead magnets and videos and supporting material to help people go through those difficult times, and to engage with you and to buy your product or service or solution at the time that they need it the most, and you've understood where they are in that space, and you've worked through that hero's journey with them, and at the end of the transformation, that is the time when they can become an advocate. That's the time that they can become the promoter for you, and you now have additional salespeople that are allowed to that are now in a position to share their stories, and that's where you can pick up testimonials and so on. I've got a question, Alida. Might have covered it already. Apologies if you have. but how do you determine where they are in their transformative phase they are at? You see, this is the difficulty is if you don't already have some kind of connection with your target market, if you don't understand your target market, and this is where I mean, there's so many different factors, but I'm just going to mention a few just to hopefully help you, a leader. And if you want to have a separate or additional conversation, I don't mind. It's really no charge, but I mean, it's really just to help you with that. But if you look at a transformative phase, is the transformative phase is often a phase at which they are asking a lot of questions. So it's about intent. So intent-based searches. So we are able now these days with technology and so on, and I've got a really good marketing automation software and that, and other tools that allow us and help us determine that intent search. When someone is searching for something, the search topics, the questions they are asking, you could go and look at keywords. Like there are certain tools that will help you determine what questions your target market is answering. So first, you got to know who your niche is. You got to know the target market that you're trying to work with, and you got to understand what their journey is. And just like I mentioned in 1895, that somebody had worked out the AIDA or AIDA, or the purchasing journey: get attention, interest, desire, and have a call to action. But you can get attention with those people that are asking at the educable moment. Now, when we're looking at a particular niche, let's say I'm not sure who your niche is. I don't know. You're welcome to put the note in there. But different people have different needs at different times. So if you take a student at university and they're going to university, this is their first day of university, they're being called out on a journey. So this is all discovery phase, etc. And they're starting to understand where everything is, where their classes are, what books they need, and so on. They haven't quite understood whether that's the right course for them, and so on. So they're very much in overwhelm stage. I mean, to go and give them even more information about alternative things would be crazy. But let's say they've now gone through a process and they're starting to understand where everything is, and they start searching out questions. They start searching out answers, to different questions. Your intent searches, and there's there are different there's software that you can get. I think the one is called Answer the Public. In fact, it accumulates all the Google search terms that are made across different industries. So, I mean, if you sell to plumbers, or you sell to doctors, or you sell to whoever it is, or types of entities, you will see what they are searching for. If your content and you're generating enough content and you're visible enough, and at the right time, they are then asking for the support that they need. Because you have taken time to identify the types of questions that they are asking, and you are giving them the opportunity to engage with you. So your lead magnets, your sales video on your website, your website content, and all that is matching the intent search, that those moments of darkness that they're in, and they're searching out an answer. That's the space that you want to do. How do you determine what transformative phase they're at? Very good question. Would be the time they search you out, would be the time that they are looking for the answers. If you try to sell something, I mean, I don't know if you've got kids or not, but I've raised 4 children. It's very, very difficult to sit them down and teach them something that they need to know. And right now, all they want to do is play with their toys, or they want to go and play with their friends, or they want to do something completely different. You are not going to get their attention. But if they come to you at that space, at that time, your children, and they say, "Hey, Dad, I've got this thing," or what do I do? Or they trip and fall. I mean, that might be a place where you could sort of help them, walk a bit better, run a bit better. It could be something. I'm just making things up now, but at the time when the issue arises, how do we do that from a marketing or business principle point of view? Inform and educate is expertise first. You've got to show that you have the ability to deliver the expertise, but you've got to do that on a continuous basis so that you can be top of mind. When they start asking the questions, that's the time when you inform and educate. So when you're looking at people on, let's take LinkedIn, which is my pet peeve when it comes to people just firing these interruption marketing at me. I would much rather spend time on certain groups, because there are certain groups that interest me that I would go into, and I would read people's comments. I would see what postings they have. I would see how they are interacting with people, let's say within a social group. We're talking about social media marketing now. If you're doing email and there's other techniques. I mean, we probably don't have time to cover all of them, but if you think about even just going into a target market group, looking at the posts, posting different things, maybe posting things that are more questions, that are more about just highlighting little tips and tricks and things like that, and inviting people who are at that educable moment, inviting those people into your world without trying to sell at them, without trying to shout at them. Because I think what happens is with these outbound messages, sometimes even email becomes an annoyance. I see people are using text messaging these days more and more so to an annoyance. Get the next 25% off in the next 30 minutes if you phone this number, blah, blah. I'm like, you know what? I'm not even in that space. Why do you even have my number? And secondly, why are you offering me something that's not even remotely what I want? So it's about engagement in my mind. So if you don't understand who your market is, where they congregate, where they get together, I mean, it might be more in terms of networking groups. It might be better to go to groups or meetings in a physical sense, or even online, to where your community that you're trying to target, where they get together. I've seen it at networking events. I love networking events, so going to them and just sitting and listening to people and asking them where they are in terms of their journeys, where they are in terms of the challenges that they face. And I don't try and sell at that time. I do take notes. I do make sure that I know that person, if I could grab their business card or get, I mean, these days it's annoying that people giving electronic business cards, and then I can't even find it after meeting 30 people in a networking meeting. I mean, that practice should stop. We should go back to business cards, quite frankly. But what I would do is take a little notepad. I've got these little cards. So even if they give me an electronic thing, I would take a few notes, pop it in my pocket. Where are they at? What challenges are they facing, etc. And then communicate with them on a one-to-one basis. Hey, it's Dudley. We met the other night at this and this event. You discussed a few things. I thought maybe we just have a cup of coffee and run through. Just maybe there's a few ideas I can share with you. And slowly but surely, you need 2, 3, 4, 5 interactions or engagements. If you do one-to-many, for instance, you can invite them to your networking group. A lot of people these days are creating these relationship-based groups where they create platforms. Some people, I mean, I call it a pond, if you like. There are these Facebook groups. There are different pieces of software where you can invite, or you could just have a Zoom call once a month for people who want to know stuff about a particular topic. And you could be sending out invites and say, look, come just join us. with that conversation. So for me, it's about intent. It's the time at which they ask why, the time at which they need your help, is the time that you can start selling, and not sell as in the hardcore sell. I really hope. Yeah, thank you very much for sharing that. Um, but it is for me, and I appreciate your comment. Thank you very much, Alida. But for me, it's stop shouting at people, stop interrupting them, and be available to have the conversations, and understand at the toughest moments is when you become relevant, and it's helping them through transformation, because you got a client for life. I promise you, if you look after somebody during their darkest moments, you have got a client for life. If you are selling someone for the sake of making a revenue, you have got a problem later on. Why? Because then you got attrition of clients. Then because you forced them into a sale when they weren't ready and they didn't ask why. And that's when the biggest customer complaints occur. You don't go and buy groceries because you don't need groceries. You go to your local grocery store when you need groceries. When your grocery store is phoning you every day, telling you they got a special offers, like, but I don't need more cheese. I don't need more milk and bread. I've got. Why are you phoning me? When I'm ready, I will come and I will buy. And it's that same sort of concept. Okay, inform and educate for me is all about that, is understanding the journey, and then understanding that when you inform and educate, it is about assisting them in their transformative journey, seeing yourself as a guide. You're not the hero in the journey. You are merely the guide that appears at the right time for your customer. Thank you very much. This was a nice long one today. Appreciate the comments. Please like and subscribe, and send me more emails. I've been getting some really great feedback, and I just want to say thank you to absolutely everybody that's been doing it. I try and not be contentious, but I will speak my mind when it comes to certain practices that I see that are hurting our industry in terms of marketing and sales, because I think marketing and sales is there to help and transform people. Nothing happens if a sale is not made in this world. Factories can't work and produce things. People can't deliver services. Dentists can't work if you don't need dental issues. I mean, doctors, lawyers, accountants, etc. So nothing happens until a sale is made. So sales are necessary. Marketing is necessary, but let's not make a complete things of ourselves, like really embarrassing moments for ourselves, by shouting at people and interrupting people. Let's be there for them during their transformative journey. Thank you very much for joining me today. Have a fantastic weekend. From next week, we'll be doing it in the afternoons. I've still got to come up with whether it's a Tuesday or a Wednesday afternoon. It'll probably be every Wednesday afternoon, because we're having more and more American customers and interested people joining us on these podcasts. So we'll probably be around 4 p.m. Every Wednesday. So join me on our journey as we go through the 42 business growth principles. If you don't get to do it live, they're all going onto the YouTube channel. They're all going to LinkedIn and other platforms. And really, I'm just here to share and help wherever I can. Have a super weekend, and whatever you're doing, enjoy, have fun, be safe, and we'll see you next week.